guys, welcome back. I'm working on the 49 Ford doors right now, and I have them upside down. I have one upside down right now. Found a couple dings that I'm fixing. Now, I'm not going to refill or prime the inside of this door. We're going to use epoxy primer as a sealer before we put down the satin black. It should cover this little bit of icing just fine. It looks worse than it is, obviously, because it's not sanded yet. So once I sand these areas down, I'm going to flip the door over. I'm going to guide coat it, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like after it's sanded from the guide coat, because you saw in the last video what these looked like before I primered them with the low spots and everything, the body work that I did to them. So hopefully now once I guide coat them and block them again, they should be nice and straight. So I'll be back once I get this sanded, flipped over. I'll put the guide coat on and I'll sand it down. Okay, the door blocked out really well. A tiny few little breakthroughs up here, but nothing to bare metal except for this tiny edge right there, tiny little piece. Perfect, I'm happy with it. It feels really good. And I blocked it with 180 grit with the guide coat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 320 grit on my DA sander. And what I put on here is a 1/2 inch foam interface pad. So this pad right here just attaches to the DA, and then it's real squishy. And we're going to put a piece of 320 grit on top of it. And that's all we are going to do is just let this glide over the surface, okay? And this foam helps you from digging in if you were to get your sander a little bit of an angle. If you got your sander a little bit of an angle, it's not going to dig in like it would with the hard pad. And that's all we're doing with this 320 grit is getting out these 180 grit sanding marks. We're not trying to straighten the panel anymore. We're not trying to feather out body filler, nothing. That's all we're doing is taking out the 180 grit sanding marks. Okay, as you can see, I'm letting it just glide over the surface, and I'm moving it pretty quickly across the panel. I'm not going slow enough to where it could leave imperfections in your primer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the top of the door. And then after that, I'm gonna take a red Scotch spray pad. And this red Scotch spray pad, I'm gonna scuff the whole entire door down with it. This is pretty much equivalent to a 320 grit, maybe even 400 grit. So I'm gonna go over the whole door with that after I get done with the 320. And then this door is ready to get blown off and painted. So once I get this done, I'm going to get this cleaned off, blown off, put it in the spray booth, grab the other door, get that one sanded down in the same manner that I did this one, and then both of these doors are ready. Now I think I'm going to have to paint it twice, obviously. I'm going to have to paint the satin black first, let it dry overnight, tape it off, and then paint the front. So I'll have to get it hung up and get it taped off really well so I don't get overspray on the front side. So, all right, I'm gonna get this one sanded down, and then I'm gonna move on to the other one, get that one sanded down, and then at that point, I have to sand down an arcade cabinet because I'm painting the arcade cabinet satin black as well, so I might as well do both doors and the cabinet at the same time, and these two filler panels I have to do as well, which are sitting on that garbage can, which go on the back side of these doors. Those also need to be satin black. So I figured why not just bunch it all up and get it all done at the same time. So I will be back in a little bit once both doors are done. Okay guys, I am getting some MP170 mixed up here, epoxy primer. There's the hardener. I need to put a little reducer in it. Now I have all the parts in here. I still need to wipe them down. I'm painting the cabinet satin black today. The back doors, those metal plates, and the back side of the doors for the 49 Ford pickup. Now, this MP170 has a 72 hours before you have to scuff before you top coat. So it is about 2:30 on Sunday afternoon. I'm going to just go ahead and MP170 the whole entire door for the 49 because tomorrow I'm going to paint it within 24 hours, so I know that I'm really within that window of time. It says up to 72 hours before you have to scuff and reapply. So I'm just going to go ahead and MP the whole thing, the whole door. And then I was going to tape it off to put the black on, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go ahead and put the black on, and then I'll tape it off tomorrow. If I got to scuff anything down or anything that feels funny, I can do that tomorrow before I put the gunmetal gray on. The reason why I don't want to tape it twice is because then I have to try to tape against the tape line that I already had taped. So at least this way it's only going to have one tape line rather than two that I'm trying to meet together. So I'm going to get some of this mixed up. It is a 2-to-1 mix, 2 parts epoxy, 1 part hardener, and then I'm going to add 20% reducer to thin it out so that it goes on smoother and flatter. So I'm going to get this mixed up. I'm going to wipe everything down. I'm not going to show me wiping everything down today, but I'm going to get everything wiped down and get it ready for the coat of epoxy, and then we'll mix up the black single stage satin that we are going to use, and then we will put a couple coats of that on, and that'll be it for today on these parts. So this is the single stage we're going to use. This is hot rod. It says flat single stage, that's what all the labels say, but this is actually a satin finish on this one. So I'm going to let it start stirring now and get stuff mixed up. Okay, I have the MP170 mixed up and in the gun. I'm only going to be putting this on the car door parts, the doors themselves and those 2 metal plates. I'm not going to waste it on the arcade cabinet with the back doors because there's only like a couple little breakthroughs and it's not bare metal, so it doesn't matter. The doors have some bare metal on it. This is going to seal the bare metal up before we put the paint over top of it. You always want to try to seal your bare metal up with an epoxy primer before you paint, because if you don't, you run the risk of it, rusting in the future. This kind of creates a barrier to seal the metal in before the paint touches the door itself. So let's go out there, put a coat of this on the doors and those couple panels. Okay, I'm gonna get the paint mixed up now. Like I said, it's just a 4-to-1 mix. We're gonna add 20% reducer in it to thin it out a little bit. Now, I'm gonna start with the arcade cabinet and work my way to the front of the spray booth. So basically, I'm starting in the farthest back, working my way forward. The reason why I do that is whatever overspray comes off that cabinet and lands on the other parts, I will be wetting it as it's going towards the fan. So it keeps everything wet as I get towards the fan. We're going to put probably 2 coats on everything. Should be all we need. So I'm going to get this mixed up. We're going to get out there. I just tack clothed off the cabinet and all the parts. The tubes in the arcade cabinet, I was able to pop them out. They came right out. I'll glue them back in afterwards. I got to clean them. That's the first coat. Just made it on the paint I mixed up. If anybody's wondering what gun I'm using, this is a knockoff of a Segola paint gun. A Segola paint gun, this type would be about $800. This is a $100 gun, and it breaks up and atomizes the paint just as good as those Segolas. I've used them. I have just about the same results with this as an $800 spray gun. This is made by AeroPro. You can get them on Amazon. Part number is A610. I have a couple of them. I really like them. They're lightweight, they feel really good, and they really break up the paint. They really atomize the paint and lay it on pretty darn smooth. So for the price, I really can't beat it. And I use them. You know, I have a bunch of guns. I have a bunch of guns that are old. I have some cheap guns, I have some expensive guns. These are my 3 SATA guns here. This is a SATA, this is a SATA, and this is a SATA. You know, those are anywhere from $600 to $800 a gun, and they're getting old, they're getting worn out. And to be honest with you, this newer technology with the lower pressure, this I'm shooting between 29 and 32 PSI. That's all I need. Barely getting overspray because the pressure is really low, and it's laying it out flat. It's breaking the paint up. I've noticed with these older SATA guns, because they're 2000 and 3000 SATAs, that I have to use a higher air pressure to get it to break up and atomize as good as these new guns. This is just a cheap Black Widow from Harbor Freight. Works okay. For $160 at Harbor Freight, your better bet is that one from Amazon for $100. This is another Amazon or Harbor Freight gun, and these are Harbor Freight guns that I use for primer. And that's really about it. I have extra cheap guns up there. Those 3 boxes right there are these cheap guns with the 2.0 tip on them for filler primer, 2K primer. And I even have some cheap gravity feed guns up there from Harbor Freight that I got for 10 bucks a piece, that I'll use those a lot of times for like spray glue. You're doing a headliner and you need to put spray glue down, fill that up with some spray glue, and it works really well. Now this is that gun I was just talking about, the one I'm using right now. It's made by AeroPro. There's a label on this. They stuck a shipping label right on the box. Of course, they yeah, can't really see it, but it's A610, and it works really well, guys. So if somebody's in the market for a cheaper spray gun and wants it to perform like an expensive spray gun, go with one of those. I'm actually probably going to buy a 3rd one, just so I have it for future, because that one up there in that box I'm going to turn into a clear coat gun. I like them so much that I'm just going to keep using them. The hell with it. Why should I spend $800 on a gun when this $100 gun, I don't even think it's $100, I think it's $80 or $90, whatever it is on Amazon, is performing just as good as an $800 gun, so why waste the money? I'd rather buy a couple extra ones of these. I'd rather have 4 of these, use 2 of them, and then when they start taking a crap, throw them away and use 2 new ones. I'll still only be half the price of 1 gun. So just in case anybody's interested. So I am going to mix up the same amount again, and we're going to put 1 more coat on everything, and then that'll be it. Then we'll let these parts dry. So all right, I'm going to get this mixed up, and we're going to go get the last coat on. Real quick, if you look at this air cap here, you can see that there was a piece of lint or something. It's right there. Can't really see it, but there's also a couple dots of dirt. So this filter that goes through this air cap, you could tell it definitely picks up anything that's in the paint before it goes into the spray gun. So it gives you a cleaner paint job. Okay, it's been drying for about 15 minutes so far. It's starting to dry out. Obviously it's still a little shiny because it's not completely dry. I didn't go super heavy on the side of the cabinets. It's getting vinyl put on it. So, but that's where we're at. Arcade cabinet's done, and the insides of the doors and the back doors of the arcade cabinet are done. So that's going to end this video, guys. Hopefully you like what you're seeing. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Tomorrow afternoon I am going to do the gray on the doors and the running boards on the truck. I have to sand those down still, so I want to paint those tomorrow, and then I have to do the hood fender assembly, that one-piece fiberglass. Once that's done, I just have a bed, rear wheel flares or wheel wells, and a tailgate left, and then that will be the end of that project. So hopefully you guys stick around, and I will see you guys later. Thanks.